a lot of human rights activists think that one important piece of work to sort of regain global standing around these issues is kind of demonstrating that human rights begin at home and kind of reclaiming some of that standing. And I know there's a couple of initiatives under consideration, an expanded interagency council on human rights that would include HUD, DOE, et cetera, to look at the full range of human rights, including economic, social rights, possibly ratifying unratified treaties. And I know the transition team was looking at transforming the Civil Rights Commission into a Human Rights Commission. My question to you is, how important do you think the success of those efforts are to your effectiveness in foreign policy in terms of, improving our standing, although it seems like you're getting a very welcome reception? And does the administration feel like it needs to address the historical recalcitrance that the United States has had around recognizing economic and social rights to engage with perhaps countries in the global south that consider that a high priority?
There's a lot in that.
I try to make it short,
No.
and I try to make it a question.
Well, I think the premise of your question, which is, does what we do at home have an impact on how we're perceived internationally? Of course. And that's why the steps that the President has taken and took in the very earliest days of his administration, like his commitment to close Guantanamo within a year, and his unequivocal end to torture in any way, shape, or form, and indeed our decision to engage in the Human Rights Council, which is something that many countries, those that are deeply committed to the respect of human rights and some that are more ambivalent, wanted. All of these are demonstrations of a change of policy, an elevation of human rights to their proper place of primacy in our own values and also in our own actions. And those things do matter. Now, some of the things that you mentioned are frankly, I think, not as well known to most of the people and counterparts that I deal with on a daily basis. They're more inclined to look at the more obvious manifestations of our current and past behavior and make those judgments. But obviously, what we do at home and how we act in international contexts has a great deal of influence on how others perceive us.
Economic and social rights, will there be any change on that?
It's interesting. I'll give you one of my favorite examples. We used to, in the prior administration, object vociferously to language in UN resolutions about the right to food. We kind of looked at that and said, what are we arguing about? Let's not start and maintain a fight about a right to food. You could look at that in a very legalistic way and come up with 16 reasons why, we don't want to confer new rights. On the other hand, this is a non-binding text. Everybody needs and wants and deserves the ability to eat, to stay alive. And that's the kind of battle that we are no longer fighting. And it's true across the board. We are going to fight like nobody's business on matters of critical importance and principle. But we're not going to pick unnecessary battles across the board. We were able to join others in the UN General Assembly, in contrast to a few months ago, in the end of the prior administration, in supporting a declaration opposing discrimination against people on the basis of sexual orientation. That was an important statement of our values that we were unable to do in the past. And so those sorts of things get noticed. And we, as I said, will fight very hard for our core principles and our core interests. But we will refrain from, for example, trying to excise language about the Millennium Development Goals from UN documents. In fact, we firmly support the Millennium Development Goals now.